romanticizing a pre-digital past in which relationships seemed more authentic and a future appeared open. Ooh. Meanwhile, they remain captive to the cold glow of screens. Ooh, I'm in this essay and I don't like it. Ooh, this is interesting. Progress and modernity. A generation of Gen Z, but 2 centuries ago, a generation of young people with full hearts in an empty world sought hope in the face of insurmountable malaise. Big words. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see this essay. In 1833, the French dramatist and poet Alfred de Musset traveled to Venice with his lover. I'm gonna move myself. Chat, don't chat too much or else you guys are gonna be covering my face. But that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. The voyage was meant to ease the tension of their turbulent relationship, but soon after they arrived, they both fell ill. As Musset's condition deteriorated, Sand became infatuated with the Italian doctor who treated them. After a series of violent and jealous quarrels, Musset returned to Paris to do what he did best: write. Drawing on the fragments of his correspondence with Sand and on years of inner turmoil, he produced the semi-autobiographical novel, Confessions of a Child of the Century, 1836. The story centers on Octave, who is driven to libertinage and near madness by a duplicitous lover. Yet his unhappiness stems less from his mistress's betrayal than from the disillusioned spirit of the age in which he was born. So this goes back into the title, Gen Z, but 2 centuries ago. Or I guess the subtitle, a generation of young people with full hearts on an empty world sought hope in the face of insurmountable malaise. What does this word mean? There's no define. Okay, where was I? Feelings of melancholy and ennui were so widespread among the Musset's generation that they were grouped together under a single diagnosis: le mal de Cecil, literally sickness of the century. Today, many of us feel like we are living in unstable times, marked by AI, widening inequality, war, and a looming climate catastrophe, among other deeply unsettling realities. Yet our attitudes towards unhappiness and anxiety often downplay the broader socio-political context. Big words. I'm gonna have to translate this into easier words for me to understand. Placing responsibility on the individual to practice mindfulness, cultivate work-life balance, and so on. I feel called out right now. 200 years ago, Musset and many of his contemporaries instead blamed the times for the pervasive mood of dissatisfaction and unrest that gripped their generation. 200 years ago, Musset and many of his contemporaries blamed the pervasive mood of dissatisfaction and unrest. Okay, so blaming the time. Okay. So that kind of does reflect now, honestly. There is a pervasive mood of dissatisfaction and unrest in media. Is it in real life? I would say my day to day, I'm very privileged. I have a really happy life. However, I find myself purposely avoiding the news because there's always some shit that's hitting the fan. And so I do resonate with a pervasive mood of dissatisfaction and unrest in our times now. They believed that the century sickness was shaped less by individual temperament than by far-reaching historical, political, and cultural forces. Could we benefit from reframing our current malaise in similar terms? They believed that the sickness was shaped less by individual temperament than by far-reaching. So they believed that the sickness, the century sickness, was shaped by far-reaching historical, political, and cultural forces. And the question is, can we reframe our current... I gotta figure out what malaise means. They used it more than once. Malaise. Definition. Malaise, a vague general feeling of being unwell, uncomfortable, or off. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Malaise. The news do be a downer. It really do. It really do. Musset was not, and I think that's also why. He called me out here. Is this why I'm here tonight? I want to practice mindfulness. I was talking about wanting to practice mindfulness, and here I am. Okay. Musset was not the first to articulate the idea of mal du siècle. Some decades later, Francois René de Chateaubriand had expressed his own generation's malaise, warning of the unsettled state of passions, the tedium of the heart, and the secret inquietude of young people whose environment offered no outlet for their intense feelings. All right, let's translate that sentence into easier words. This is okay how I went through college, by the way. If sentences were hard, I would reword it into easy words so I can understand. So this guy, and this is how I went through Arabic or learning a different language. This guy expressed his own generation's feeling of unwell. And then this is just rephrases it. And the secret of inquietude of young people whose environment offered no outlet for the intense feelings. So he's just talking about the situation. With a full heart, he sighed, we dwell in an empty world. What does that mean? We dwell in an empty world. With a full heart, we dwell in an empty world. And if we're going to compare it to modern times, do we dwell in an empty world? Yeah. When I'm thinking about my issue of doom scrolling, my recent challenge that I'm just scrolling on Twitter or I'm scrolling on YouTube Shorts. Like, I literally got rid of TikTok, so I would stop doom scrolling, and then I go and supplement it with another form of social media. And when I'm doom scrolling, let's take, short form content, video content, for example. When I'm doom scrolling that, it really makes me, I feel empty afterwards. I don't retain most of the content, if any of the content. Yeah, sure, some of it's funny, relatable, entertaining. Maybe sometimes it informs me about something, but it is empty. There's not much purpose behind it other than entertainment, a way to spend time. Do I feel unfulfilled right now? I like your analogy, David. Metaphor? Analogy? You cut off one head and two more heads take its place. Ooh, I'm just like imagining a political cartoon with social media and me fighting, like a person trying to fight off social media, deletes TikTok of like a dragon. and then two heads. More social media pops up. Takes it down. More social media pops up. How do we defeat the dragon? Stop being on social media? As I'm saying here on social media? Is all social media bad though? Okay, let's continue reading. The Romantic novelist Jean Paul helped give conceptual form to a similar idea by popularizing the German term Weltschmerz, or world weariness. World weariness. The sense that suffering arises from the very order of the world. World weariness. You suffer because the world is. As the first decades of the 19th century unfold, a number of other writers, not least Musset's lover and principal interlocutor Sand, theorized and dramatized the moral malady, lots of big words, of their age. Of all the expressions of the mal du siècle, however, the one Musset presented in the story of his alter ego, Octave, proved the most emblematic and enduring. I like your point, David. It is a way to be social online. Ooh, then that goes on to like, ooh, is that why I'm here? Because I want social connection? yeah, obviously. Thanks for talking with me, David, by the way. Hanging out with you is always like a great time. And also anyone else who's lurking, thanks for lurking and hanging out. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Yeah. That does make me feel less bad about being a hypocrite. About saying, hey, social media is bad. But then also being here and adding to the issue. Interesting. And then that makes me think, because like one of the things like social media, I guess talking to me and my experience with social media, is I post on Twitter. This is like the thing that I've been very consistently posting on, at least for the last month. I've been posting consistently on Twitter at least once a day at 10 a.m. PS EST, if you guys are interested. And I just post whatever. I'm exploring different options. But one of the things that I did recently, or one of the things that I keep saying consistently, is that I want to have a positive impact on the world. And I want to be able to use my media, social media, to have a positive impact on the world. However, the content flops. You know, it doesn't do well. Like this, I posted this yesterday. 56 views, 0 likes, 0 things, whatever. And like that kind of prompted me into thinking about, okay, wait, let me talk about this post. So this post talks about one video that I watched on YouTube, and it gives a summary, and I have an alternative text because I understand that this might be a little bit hard to read, but it basically shares about a video that gives me hope, and it goes into. That is a great point, David. That is a great point. And it goes into why this video gives me hope, why it makes me happy, and it's something that I wanted to share with other people, and I think more people will watch to learn more about the world. And the fact that it didn't perform well is disappointing, naturally, you know, especially when I consistently, at least, I aim for 10% likes to view ratio. It doesn't always happen, but that's, I would say, on average, what I'm hitting. And this video got 0, or this post got 0. What is my point with this? So if I was to focus on one of the main metrics of me posting this on social media, I would be discouraged to post content like this because it doesn't perform, and encouraged to post content like this because it does perform better. Or like my best performing one would be, here's another content where I was like, this is important information, I learned a lot from this, let's share it and talk about it. Didn't perform well. And then this kind of similar where it's like, this is media I enjoyed, let's talk about it, didn't perform well. But then when you're looking at just like the pretty almost brain rot content actually, yeah, brain rot content, when I post something that is literally a scribble, didn't take me too much time, it was fun to do, there's no substance to this, you know, it's very inoffensive. This performed really well. 150 likes, 25 retweets versus my normal 7 likes, 9 likes, 2, 5. What is my purpose with this? I thought about this because I was reading this. No, what was it? Something that you said? It's a way to be social online. And there is substance to what I was just saying about what I was pointing out. And I'm going to ponder on this. I don't have an answer to this exactly right now. I think one thing I'm just coming to realize is that if I'm looking at, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I didn't like finish saying it. If I'm looking at the likes to view ratio, if I'm looking at the numbers, the thing that I'm encouraged to post is brain rot content. Things with little to no substance, happy-go-lucky, doesn't mean much. But if I want to use my platform as a way to have a positive impact, like sharing other content that has a positive impact on the world, for example, this one, I have to be okay with it not performing well. And I should still continue sharing it because I want to. And that's kind of why I was like going into, maybe I should just start journaling. Because at the end of the day, I want to continue creating it without the worry about performance. And I also think that performance, my face is being hidden by the chat. Without performance, I can just exist. And I think that's part of the reason why I've been hiding away from Twitch lately. And I think I enjoy video gaming without being perceived and just enjoying it. But I also, and we kind of read it on a book today, want to have a impact. And that's part of the reason why I'm applying. I've only applied to one job. I applied to one job and one volunteer opportunity. Neither I've heard anything feedback from, but that's okay. I'm about to go on vacation, so now is not really the time to apply for more. But I want to work for a positive mission. But if that's not possible, then I should take the time to volunteer to support a positive mission. But it takes a lot of time and something I gotta like work for consistently, and that's my issue. That's why I think I feel kind of bad. It's like, oh, I said I was gonna sell art commissions, and then now I'm like, that's not for me, and then I want to give up on that project. I do that constantly. I start a project, I give up on it. I start a project, I give up on it. Start a project, I give up on it. That's one of my insecurities. That's one of my flaws. I can't stay consistent. But I love everything that I have created so far. It's just gonna be all over the place. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. I want to create. I want to keep creating. I want to share what I learn with other people. I shouldn't focus on numbers because this is the type of content that I want to keep on creating. This isn't content that is performing well. But I think it's important. I think it's interesting. I think more people should learn about it. And I think there's good to be had in the world. We just have to have our heart open to it. And that's what I say in this post, actually. I say, learning about the world can make me feel hopeless. However, I have found that there's so much good. We just have to keep our hearts open. So, I'm just talking aloud about my experience. I want people to keep creating, going back to the world of rot, the art of rot. In the face of AI, artificial creation, brain rot, there is good content to be out there, I suppose. It's more about being mindful, but also, is it? I don't know. Okay. Okay, great. I'm like behind on the chat. What were you saying, David? So it's a way to be social online. Yes. You just have to have more aspects to your life outside of social media and not necessarily what you want to cut out entirely. Yes, I agree with that. And I think, you know what? You're just solidifying. I should just start a nature journal. And I actually kind of did. If I had my camera set up, I would show you. But I started because I was thinking about, this is materialistic side of me, right? I was thinking of buying a totally new book just so I can have a nature book. And then I'm like, I have a good quality sketchbook that I love. And I have a few, like I recently did a drawing of some really pretty plumeria flowers that I really like. And then today I did a drawing of a robin bird on sakura petals. It was just a drawing of a picture of a bird, but I found it so relaxing. I just drew that and I listened to music, and yeah, I need to get away from social media. I need hobbies away from it. And maybe not away from it, but like what you said, David. I need balance. I don't need to cut it out entirely. But my issues is the mornings, so I'm thinking I gotta go back to trying to be disciplined, man. Learning to post, I feel, will always perform worse. Yeah. Twitter is where people go for drama and cute art, not really to better themselves as people. That's valid. You know, maybe Twitter isn't the social media that I'm looking for. You could make a blog. You could really be a blogger. Share all your art, articles, and thoughts in one place. Ooh. A blog. A blogger. I don't know much about bloggers. Ooh, I have the negative thought though. Immediately my idea is, if I do a blog, no one would see me because it's not what people usually do. But also, that's going against what I was literally just saying. My brain's rotted. All I care about is the numbers. Sorry, I'm like peeking on the mic. Just like, it's so hard not to chase the numbers. It's like a challenge that I face all the time with content creation. Okay, enough about blogging, enough about content creation. Let's go back to this before I talk about myself again. I'll probably start reading this and then talk about myself again. That is, okay, stop talking about myself. Okay. In the opening chapters of The Confession, Musset offers a panoramic, almost sociological view outlining his diagnosis of the causes and symptoms of the mal du siècle. The young men who came in the age in France around 1830, ready to take their place in the world, discovered that history had already run its course. In their father's time, the destiny of France had been tied to one man's indefatigable sense of purpose. Napoleon Bonaparte, capitalizing on the momentum and chaos of the revolution, had emerged equal parts daring leader and egomaniacal tyrant. In Musset's words, one man only was then the life of Europe. All other beings tried to fill their lungs with the air that he had breathed. Okay. The old world was slowly dying, while the promise of a brighter future was endlessly postponed. This does resonate with like right now. And the old world, time before AI. Not everything's culminating to AI. I think AI is just the easiest thing to blame. Yeah. In France alone, hundreds of thousands of men lost their lives in Napoleon's wars. Yet both in victory and in defeat, the emperor maintained his legendary aura. Musset writes, "Never were there so many sleepless nights as in the man's time. Never was such a people of disconsolate mothers seen reclining on city ramparts. Never was there such silence around those who spoke of death." I didn't comprehend any of that. Never were there so many sleepless nights that in a man's time. Never was such a people of disconsolate mothers reclining on city ramparts. Never was there such silence around those who spoke of death. And yet he insists there was also so much joy, so much life, so much flourishing of war trumpets in every court. Never were there suns so cloudless as those that dried up all that blood. Never were there suns so cloudless as those that dried up all that blood. What does that mean? The emperor was a brilliant war strategist. He was a self-mythologizer. With every impossible exploit and every deadly campaign, the sands of Alexandria to the snowy peaks of Berezina, Napoleon expanded his imperial horizons, infusing France with a conquering raison d'etre. But after the empire crumbled on 1815, the young men conceived between two battles, discovered that their world, which had once seemed boundless, had become too small to accommodate their dreams. Like many of his contemporaries, Musset felt that he had come of age in the wrong time. The old world was still quivering on its ruins, with all the fossils of age of absolutism, slowly dying, while the promise of a brighter future was endlessly postponed. He believed that the opportunity for a meaningful existence had passed his generation by, and that it would not return in time for them to experience it. What a thick night on the earth, and we shall be dead when the day shall break. Or as he put it in his poem, Rolla, I came too late into a world too old. As Musset's generation confronted with the impasse of their historical in-betweenness, they were left with a feeling of inexpressible unrest and an unbearable wretchedness in the depths of their souls. The notion of mal du siècle. Let's just get a pronunciation of this. Okay, I was pronouncing that wrong. Mal du siècle. Siècle. Mal du siècle cannot be dissociated from the spirit of romanticism that was sweeping Europe when Musset was writing. This polymorphous, transnational, and intellectually wide-ranging movement does not lend itself easily to neat definition, but in a broad sense, it can be understood as a general feeling of dissatisfaction with the excess of rationalism and materialism in post-Enlightenment. There is a lot of reflections to modern times, but also this essay was written to reflect them. So he's going to cherry pick this author is going to cherry pick the things that do reflect it. But is he wrong? I'd have to fact check. I'm not going to take the time to fact check. I'm going to take his word for it until told otherwise, unfortunately. This transnational and intellectually wide-ranging movement does not lend itself easily to a neat definition, but in a broad sense, it can be understood as a general feeling of dissatisfaction with the excess excesses of rationalism and materialism in the post-Enlightenment rapidly industrializing world. I mean, that does reflect to now. The rationalism of philosophy des Lumieres of the previous century had elevated reason, granting the power to solve all of humanity's problems. Sounds like AI. However, the cold, detached attitude of rationalism and empiricism left Musset's generation feeling empty, searching for something to believe in that could not be explained away. In the Confession, Musset wrote, "You will feel that human reason can heal illusions, but not heal sufferings. You'll find that the heart of man, when he said, 'I believe in nothing, for I see nothing,' had not said its last word." Had not said its last word. I don't know what that means. "I believe in nothing, for I see nothing," had not said its last word. You'll feel that human reason can heal illusions, but not heal sufferings. You find that the heart of man, when he said, "I believe in nothing, for I see nothing," is not the last word. Okay. With industrialization mechanizing more and more aspects of the 19th century life, the Romantics sought to escape their disenchanted modernity by immersing themselves in distant cultures and epochs. The French writer Théophile Gautier, for instance, marveled at the richness and vitality of his idealized vision of ancient Egypt. Our world of today is puny indeed beside the antique world. The radiant suns which once shone upon the earth are forever extinguished in the nothingness of uniformity. That went over my head. Our world of today is puny indeed beside the antique world. Okay, modern time, like history is big. The radiant suns in which once shone upon the earth are forever extinguished in the nothingness of uniformity. History is big. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because it's all the same. If my understanding is the same. Understand it correct. Writers like Gautier and Musset yearned for the emotional depth, imagination, and higher meaning, self-expression, to glimpse the absolute and to touch the infinite. But in their view, reality mostly fell short. Yearn for emotional depth, imagination, higher meaning, and self-expression, to glimpse the absolute and touch the infinite. But reality falls short. In the 1830s, French Romantics encountered a further source of disaffection in the rise of profit-driven bourgeois mentality. By the time Musset began writing The Confession, Louis-Philippe was the third king to succeed the Emperor Napoleon. The restored monarchy maintained a veneer of progress, aware that the people of France had retained the revolutionary muscle memory and would not hesitate to use it at the first sign of absolutist relapse. In an effort to signal change, Louis-Philippe styled himself not King of France, but King of the French. In practice, however, his reforms were largely superficial, and French society remained deeply unequal, with wealth and the power still concentrated in the hands of the elite, now dominated by bourgeois merchants and industrialists. Dreary considerations of material gain had replaced the greatness and glory of the past. And young men were condemned to repose by the sovereigns of the world, given up to vulgar pedantries of all sorts, to laziness and to lassitude. This was not, Musset deplored, a world fit for expansive souls. Octave finds no comfort, only cynicism and apathy, the postures of those seeking refuge in the disenchanted world. Musset's relationship with Romanticism was ambivalent. What does that word mean? Ambivalent means to have mixed feelings, contradictory ideas, or simultaneously conflicting emotions towards someone or something. Ooh, I feel ambivalent with my life, with everything. Is that a bad thing? To be conflicting in everything? Am I conflicting everything? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. That was oversimplification. On the one hand, he often derided romantic pathos and refused to be labeled a romantic author. On the other, in the character of Octave, he had created one of the movement's most iconic heroes, embodying intense introspection and emotional excess while reflecting a profound dissatisfaction with the existence that he had been given and the world around him. After his all-consuming first love ends in betrayal, Octave loses what had been, to his eyes, the only meaningful pursuit of his young existence and discovers that he has no calling, no occupation. None of the available career paths appeal to him. His ideas drift, shifting with each new influence, and even his tastes are scattered and eclectic, reflecting both his own and his generational state of disorientation. I relate a lot to this essay. What the hell? Help, I'm in this essay and I don't like it. Our age has no forms. We had not impressed the seal of our time either on our houses or on our gardens. We live only in wreckage, as if the end of the world were at hand. Okay, well, I don't know about that one. Okay. Utterly directionless, Octave is forced to confront the unbearable discrepancy between his grandiose, idealistic, and sublime aspirations of love and freedom, and what the fundamentally materialistic and unenchanting society he inhabits can realistically deliver. When he turns to his friends, he finds no comfort, only cynicism and apathy. The postures of those who seeking refuge in a disenchanted world, mocking glory, religion, love, and everything in the world, is a great consolation to those who know not what to do. What? I didn't comprehend that. On the postures of those seeking refuge in a disenchanted world, mocking glory, religion, love, and everything in the world, is a great consolation to those who know not what to do. Reflecting back on this time in her memoirs, Sand echoes this sentiment. It was a time of horror and irony, consternation and impudence. Some mourned the ruin of their generous illusions. Others laughed upon the first steps of an impure triumph. No one believed in anything anymore, some out of discouragement, others out of atheism. Some mourned the ruin of their generous illusions, others laughed upon the first steps of impure triumph. No one believed in anything anymore. No one believed in anything anymore, some out of discouragement, others out of atheism. Yeah, reflections to modern day. For a while, Octave succumbs to the allure of cynical detachment. Ooh. The allure of cynical detachment. That kind of goes back into me saying I avoid reading the news. And then that goes I avoid reading the news. And one of the things that I avoid reading the news is I don't know what to believe. I don't know what news to believe. Hoping to dull. Okay. Octave succumbs to the allure of cynical detachment, hoping to dull his restlessness through the sensual diversions of, another big word, libertinage. Libertinage? It's a dictionary. Let me just pull up a dictionary. That's just better than Googling it. At least I'm supporting something instead of AI. Dictionary, libertinage, as in degradation, a sinking to a state of low moral standards and behaviors. Libertinage. Libertinage. Sinking state of low moral standards and behavior. For a while, Octave succumbs into the allure of cynical detachment, hoping to dull his restlessness through the sensual diversions of libertinage. And we just looked up libertinage. It means sinking to a state of low moral standards and behavior. But he emerges more restless and emptier still. I expect something like forgetfulness, not like joy. I found that what is worse in the world, tedium. trying to live. And I get that makes sense, because that kind of reflects to there's peace in, what's the word? Ignorance. There's ignorance to peace. But fuck, man, that's what I'm doing. There's ignorance to peace. The peace comes with ignorance. But once you are no longer ignorant on something, you can't go back to being ignorant. And I feel like that's the issue. And why when he went through cynical detachment, he emerged more restless and emptier still. It is difficult not to draw the parallels between the suffering of Musat's generation 2 centuries ago and our present malaise. Of course, the causes and contexts greatly differ. While few today yearn for the glory of Napoleonic wars, a similar sense of foreclosed future persists. Whether because of the climate, the lingering psychological impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the rise of authoritarianism, AI, or the threat of nuclear war, many believe that the future will be worse than the present. Ooh, do you believe that the future will be worse than the present? Do I believe that the future will be worse than the present? I think the future can be worse than the present. But I have hope for a better future, but I know that it needs actual action for a better future. How do we have actual action? Gotta educate yourself. Gotta be educated. Gotta be not afraid to face the truth. Gotta get political. I hate to say it. Damn. And I'm being a hypocrite. While Musat's infant du siècle felt frustrated that the brighter future lay forever beyond their reach, many today don't even dare to imagine what a better world is possible at all. Is this then a new mal du siècle? Ooh, that's interesting. Frustrated that a better future lay forever beyond their reach, many today don't even dare to imagine that a better world is possible at all. Many today don't even... Do I think that's true? Maybe. Not against that. But I don't blame people. It's really hard to live. It's really hard to survive. A lot of people are just trying to survive and not living and not imagining a future. They're just imagining their future. But future for the world, that's such a challenge that it's really hard to imagine. It's really hard to imagine a positive, better world. And there's just so many different issues, so many things to focus on. And it's impossible for one person to focus on everything. As in Musat's day, young people bear the heaviest burden. Recent studies point to a clear rise in anxiety and depression among teenagers and young adults over the past decades. Let us consider then the condition of a member of Gen Z, born roughly between 1997 and 2012. Yup, that's me. Through the lens of mal du siècle as a generational malaise, rather than as a mere aggregation of individual afflictions. Born after the late 20th century, promises of progress, stability, and prosperity had faded. They grew up in a climate of uncertainty surrounded by warnings of ecological collapse, economic precarity, and the civilization civilizational fragility. Like Musset's contemporaries, Gen Z feels the weight of their historical in-betweenness and grows wary of inherited systems that fail to evolve fast enough to ensure their future survival. I can't argue with that. So it perhaps not surprising that a great number of them withdraw into nostalgic escapism, romanticizing a pre-digital past in which relationships seemed more authentic and a future appeared open. Ooh. Meanwhile, they remain captive to the cold glow of screens. Ooh, I'm in this essay and I don't like it. Their social media feeds are saturated with ironic fatalism. Ironic fatalism. What does that mean? What does fatalism mean? Dictionary. Help me. The word isn't in the thesaurus. Here's the definition. But here's the definition. Oh, I'm in the thesaurus. Okay, there you go. I'm in the dictionary now. A doctrine that events are fixed in advance so that human beings are powerless to change them. So fate. Oh, fate. Fatalism. Fate. Or you're learning words. Meanwhile, they remain captive to the cold glow of their screens. Their social media feeds saturated with ironic fatalism. Their social media feed saturated with ironic fate stuff. Huh. For many people, not only the young, pessimism and cynicism, or in the contemporary parlance, doomerism, seems to be the only response to a world gone awry. Pessimism, cynicism, contemporary parlance to doomerism. Ooh. Oh. Today, an increasing number of people feel frustrated by an existence punctuated by doom scrolling. Oh, there it is. And bed rotting. That is, spending long hours in bed in front of a screen as a never-ending slew of disjointed content leaves them feeling empty and exhausted. This is literally what I was talking about! Literally. Okay, so I'm in this essay. I don't like it. Long before the advent of social media, and a passage that could almost pass for a reflection on our digital lives, Chateaubriand wrote of the distress of having access to too much information without having the corresponding lived experience. The more nations advanced in civilization, the more this unsettled state of the passions predominates. For then the many examples we have before us, and the multitude of books we possess, give us knowledge without experience. Sorry, I was reading and I wasn't comprehending. I'm gonna reread this. So this guy wrote about the distress of having access to too much information without having the corresponding lived experience. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. The more nations advance in civilization, the more this unsettled state of passions predominates. Okay. For then the many examples we have before us, and the multitude of books we possess, give us knowledge without experience. We are undeceived before we have enjoyed. There still remains desires, but no illusions. Our imagination is rich, abundant, and full of wonders, but our existence is poor, insipid, and destitute of charms. Our imagination is rich, abundant, and full of wonders, but our existence is poor, insipid, and destitute of charms. That was dark. But why would he say that our existence is poor, insipid, and destitute of charms, though? Do I agree with that? Our existence is insipid, destitute. If you're looking purely at, do I feel like my existence is poor, insipid, and destitute of charms? No. Ironically, I find this article charming. But it goes into me talking about I need a hobby away from doom scrolling. And if I just doom scroll, it does make me feel empty. My point being, I guess let's go back to pushing to be better, pushing to keep learning. Not to be better, but I spoke about it earlier today. Complacency, about wanting to learn, and that's kind of, damn, this is like, that's what I was hunting for today. I wanted something to talk about. I wanted an open conversation to find something insightful. This is what I was yearning for. And because of this article, do I feel like it's insipid, poor, and destitute charms? Do I find it rich, abundant, and full of wonders? Yeah. Maybe I might be lying to myself, but I feel like even the doom and gloom of this article, of this essay, knowing that another generation has experienced something different and the world has improved despite it, gives me hope that our future can improve as well. And it goes back to, how do we do that? Well, that answers another essay. While the youth of the Chateaubriand's day at least had their imaginations nourished by their reading material, today's young people face real-time footage of war zones. Rest in peace. Updates on everyone that they've ever known, unsettling AI-generated content, and tone-deaf advertisements selling them ever new reasons to feel inadequate, all before breakfast, let alone any real-life experience. Now, valid. I got nothing against it. There's not a single puppy leaving the college who has not dreamed himself the most unfortunate of men. Interesting. Those who theorized about and suffered from the mal du siècle observed that it was transmitted and reinforced through social life and artistic expression. Ooh, artistic expression kind of goes back onto. I just love how the more I learn, the more things are connected. And I was talking about earlier this stream about rot and artistic expression of rot. Literally talking about the video I was talking about earlier. And how I really hope that art gives us power. I believe in art, and I hope that we have an artistic revolution, or I hope that people keep creating in whatever way that they want to create. Go artists. Woo. And a review of, but I think it's also different versus brain rot art versus art means art with impact, art with reason, art with purpose. That's two different things. I'm not saying brain rot art is bad. You know, create something cute, create something fun, create something lighthearted because you want to. But life is about balance. In a review of Etienne de Senancour's Obermann, a novel centered on another fictional mal du siècle hero, Sand wrote, "Our age distinguishes itself through a great multitude of moral maladies, unobserved up to now, henceforth contagious and fatal. This inevitably calls to mind the case of Johann Wolfgang Goethe's pronto romantic novel, The Sorrows of Young Werther, and the subsequent wave of associated copycat suicides that led to the book being banned in several regions." Oh. Today, our anxieties are similarly contagious, viral even, endlessly shared online only to be picked up, magnified, and fed back to us in opaque algorithms. Damn. This leaves us with an uneasy sense that our shared anxiety feeds on itself within what we come to call echo chambers. Yeah. The issue was once about how art reflected and shaped the world, but now it is how our digital world, through invisible mechanisms, shapes and intensifies our distress. I'm not arguing with that. Yo, Sammy, hello, welcome back to the stream. I hope you're having a lovely day. We are reading an article about Gen Z and hope and despair and empty worlds. The Romantics were adept at elevating their unhappiness to an aesthetic experience, at times even finding a strange comfort or familiarity in it, a sentiment vividly expressed by Victor Hugo in his novel Toileters of the Sea. Victor Hugo, it's a very popular author. Melancholy is a twilight. Suffering melts into it in somber joy. Melancholy is the happiness of being sad. For today's doom scrollers who share memes about living through end times in the worst timeline, there can be a kind of twist comfort too, since in the belief that everything is lost, responsibility falls away. Let me reread that because I didn't comprehend. For today's doom scrollers who share memes about living through the end of times and the worst timeline, I mean, that's valid. Oh, they're not valid, but I've seen that, yeah. There can be a kind of twist in comfort too, since the belief that in the belief that everything is lost, responsibility falls away. I can't argue with that. If there's nothing to care about, if there's no future, why why should you care? Why should you do anything to improve the world? Why should you live, you know? It's very existential and it's very dark. It's very morbid thought process. And I'm interested to read more about how the author twists it. Or not twist it, but showcases hope. While Hugo was describing a profound emotional experience, our overstimulated dopamine-fueled brains rarely find the opportunity to explore such depths. But in both cases, fixation on one's own unhappiness risks slipping into unhealthy self-indulgence. Other figures of romanticism, whether or not they accept the label, warned against this. In his memoirs, Chateaubriand regretted the role in his novel Renée had played in fostering what he saw as a culture of posturing and self-pity. If Renée did not exist, I would no longer choose to write it. There is not a single puppy leaving the college who has not dreamed himself in the most unfortunate men. Musset, too, in The Confession, cautions against dwelling too comfortably in one's own sadness, over introspection to the point of paralysis and ultimately surrendering to cynicism and apathy. So again, it's going against that, right here. It's going against, it's pushing that positive, not positive, but it's saying it's important not to focus on the belief that everything is lost, so the responsibility falls away. But it would be a mistake to dismiss romantic sensitivity as a mere navel gazing. In Musset's time, many used their discomfort with modernity, not simply as an excuse to retreat inward, but as a call to action. Hugo, who found a strange pleasure in sadness, also spent much of his life campaigning against the death penalty, as well as against poverty and for women's rights. Sand, too, repeatedly chose to confront, rather than retreat from the sufferings of her age. Repeatedly chose to confront, rather than retreat from the sufferings of her age. Her novel defied restrictive social norms, and she played an active role in politics, founding newspapers and supporting workers and women. So it's highlighting what I was saying, impactful change, impactful action. In his other writings, Musset often used humor and satire to criticize the moral bankruptcy and superficiality of governments of his day. Beyond political activism, the literary sublimation of melancholy was a romantic response to the colder and more mechanized aspects of modernity. I didn't understand that because I was focused on that word. Beyond the political activism, literary sublimation. I don't know what this phrase means. Dictionary, help me. What does this mean? I guess it's not like a single word. Okay. Help me. What does this mean? AI? Sublime, literally sublime, of melancholy, was a romantic response in the colder and more mechanized aspects of modernity. For all their introspection and escapism, the enfants du siècle were able to look outward and detect the signs of generational malaise, articulating what was wrong or lacking in their world. Their ideas and their attitudes were so resonant, contagious even, because they tapped into something prevalent waiting to be acknowledged. Okay, what was prevalent waiting to be acknowledged? Well, I guess I thought I was going to go into the next paragraph, but they don't. They tapped into something prevalent waiting to be acknowledged. Okay, what did they tap into? They tapped into... He campaigned against death penalty, he campaigned against poverty, and he supported women's rights. Sand, another author, did not retreat from the suffering of her age, but she chose to confront it, and by writing novels that defied restricted social norms, she played an active role in politics and founding newspapers and supporting workers and women. So, confront, the answer's here, I guess. Repeatedly, I think that's also a key word here. Repeatedly confront and don't retreat from the suffering of age. Yeah. I feel like I'm... It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Well, sometimes you just want to survive. But also, that's just retreating. I think my job to be able to confront these issues, I need to educate myself more. I can't fall into the trap of always educating myself, but I think I'm also... It's important to always learn. Perhaps we can learn from them. There it is. In a world that encourages us to numb ourselves, to its horrors through scrolling, consuming, overwork, and other diversions, there is a lot of power in embracing our fear, anger, sadness, and grief as normal responses to an unjust system, rather than as personal failings. So he's saying, this is an unjust system. It's okay to feel feelings such as fear, anger, sadness, grief, because of the unjust system and not because of just your personal failings. This should not be an absolve... Oh, and then here's the second part that I wanted to say. This should not absolve us all from the responsibility, nor trap us from introspection. Ooh, that's interesting. Trap us in introspection. Okay. But keep us aware of the fact that anxiety and sadness, so prevalent and widespread, are the result of how our world is organized. Damn, so I shouldn't feel guilty for doom scrolling, but also... Damn, I shouldn't feel guilty for doom scrolling, but also my doom scrolling is me retreating from the sufferings of my age. And if I do want to have impactful change, like I keep saying that I want to have impactful change, I should confront it. And how do I want to choose to confront it? I want to educate myself more. I want to share important things. I think this is important. I want to share things that matter to me about I like nature, protecting nature, about community, education, hobbies, and I feel both reaffirmed in what I want to do, and also I need to call myself out more. I need to do better. Hello, Reload Clips. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a lovely day. We are reading. We're finishing an essay, actually, about Gen Z and doomerism and what you can do against it. Apathy and self-indulgence are tempting refuges for those who are all too aware of things that could and should be better than they are. I won't argue with that. But if Octave's story can teach us anything, it is that there is no relief to be found in escape. That's why doom scrolling leaves you empty. We should instead aim to be more like George Sand and act in our emotions. Act on our emotions. Hell yeah. Wow. What a good essay. I think It's really interesting. I felt like I went through a journey reading through this essay. So this essay is Gen Z, but 2 centuries ago, a generation of young people with full hearts and an empty world sought hope in the face of insurmountable malaise. And in the beginning of this essay, or like throughout this essay, I just was kind of chatting while reading, and a lot of things like popped up, and it reminded me a lot about myself. And I wish I could just highlight and keep the highlight. And one of the things was like I ended up talking about my journey with social media and like what I post, and specifically Twitter, since that's the social media that I am posting on. And I noted about like some posts that one thing that I really want to do with my life is have positive, impactful change. And the way that I'm showcasing that through social media, or like my social media journey through Twitter, is showcasing media that I think is important, or media that gives me hope. And this is one example, a video that here's a post of me talking about a video that gives me hope. And in the beginning, before I was finished reading this essay, in the beginning of me reading this essay, I spoke about how even though like I felt like this is a really important thing to share, and I really was happy to share this, it performed engagement-wise, it performed very poorly. But when you compare it to emptier content, such as my more popular, like very fun Pichu eating orange berries, right? This is my best post. It performed really, really well. Versus 150 likes versus 0 likes. And this essay really pointed out how there is a escapism, or to retreat from the issues in life. And not saying, well, actually, yeah, exactly here. This post, I say, learning about the world can make me feel hopeless. However, I found that there's so much good. We can have our hearts open. We just have to have our hearts open. It is pointing out, it does give a nod to the negativities of the world. So, what am I learning from this? And basically, this essay really has showcased that Gen Z aren't alone. There's other generations that go through threats. Here, literally this paragraph. It is difficult not to draw the parallels between the suffering of Musset's generation 2 centuries ago and our present malaise. Of course, the causes of context differ greatly. While a few today yearn for the glory of Napoleonic wars, a similar sense of foreclosed future persists. Whether because of the climate, the lingering psychological impact of COVID-19 pandemic, the rise of authoritarianism, AI, or the threat of nuclear war, many believe that the future will be worse than the present. While Musset's enfants du siècle felt frustrated that a brighter future lay forever beyond the reach, many today don't even dare to imagine that a better world can be possible at all. Is this then a new mal du siècle? And while the author does say here, many today don't even dare to imagine a better world is possible at all, they end with, perhaps we can learn from them, the previous generation 2 centuries ago, and move past the world that encourages us to numb ourselves through scrolling, consuming, overworking, and other diversions, and instead embrace our emotions to an unjust system rather than personal failings, while also not absolving you from the responsibility of those failings as well, but to know that there is no relief in escapism, but instead act on our emotions. Damn, what a good essay. This was a good read. I definitely will be mulling on this a lot. If you guys want to read this essay, check out the link here. And without further ado, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and reading with me. I hope you guys have a lovely night. I am Fancy Plants. I am a human. I want to have a positive impact on the world, and I want to learn how. And I think this was a step towards that. So, without further ado, no more cheesiness. I hope you guys have a lovely night. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you, David, for the conversation, as well as Zama and Relo Clips. I really appreciate you guys. Sammy, and who else stopped in? I know Richard stopped in. Thank you, Rumi and Firefly and CJ, of course. I hope you guys have a lovely night. I was gonna say, like, maybe, I don't know, I'm not gonna tell you guys what to do, but I'm gonna tell myself what to do. I'm gonna stop doom scrolling. That's step number 1. That's something that I kind of learned from this, is doom scrolling is my way of escaping the world, and if I want to have a positive impact on the world, move away from doom scrolling. So I'm gonna sleep tonight, and my phone is gonna be in the bathroom, and so is my iPad, and so is my other phone, and I'm gonna have my computer turned off. And tomorrow morning, I'm gonna get out of bed.